Today's show is a Miami Dolphins mailbag. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. We're going to answer your questions on the latest trade rumors, news, rumors, and free agency in the draft as well. And we'll start it off with a $20 super chat from my guy, JB. Appreciate you, JB. Do you realistically see Chris Grier pursuing Myles Garrett? Now, obviously, Garrett requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns a couple weeks ago. Now, it does sound like the Browns don't want to trade him. GM Andrew Berry came out and said they're not going to trade him, and they don't want to change their stance on that. To me, that might just be a phase, because if Garrett says, yeah, I'm not going to play unless you trade, like, I'm not going to play for you. So maybe they ultimately trade him. Plus, the Browns just need to completely rebuild their entire roster, and getting multiple first-round picks could be an easy way to do that and stockpile assets for next year where they could load up for a quarterback in a better draft class, which is also why I'm probably not going to have the thought that Chris Grier pursues Myles Garrett. Would it be fun to have a top 3 defensive player in football join this defense and pair up with Chop Robinson and Jalen Phillips? Absolutely. But Myles Garrett's going to cost you a lot of money in your cap. You're going to have to extend Myles Garrett on a massive contract that might be damn near $30 million per season. And you also are going to have to trade multiple first-round picks for him. Multiple. You would have to trade your 13th overall pick this year, your first-round pick next year, and probably some other picks as well. Not first-rounders, not second-rounders, but a third, a fourth, multiple fourths, fourth and a fifth. Like, it's 2 first-round picks minimum. That gets you in the conversation. And then there could be other negotiations as well. Myles Garrett's one hell of a ball player, man. One of the best edge rushers in the last 10 years. No doubt Hall of Famer. But I just do not think it's worth Miami, with their current roster construction, to send 2 first-round picks to get Myles Garrett. Wasim Khan with a $2 super chat. I would draft Tyler Booker at 10. Booker, the interior offensive lineman out of Alabama. And for a little bit of backstory here, Wasim Khan is a Bears fan. Booker at 10 would give him to the Chicago Bears, but Miami has been someone linked to Booker at number 13. And Booker has been labeled as the top interior offensive lineman in this draft class right now. Now, that could change based off projections. When we get to the NFL Combine, we might see players like Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, Armand Membu, offensive tackles right now, be labeled as offensive guards and interior offensive linemen. So maybe Booker's no longer the top guy. Either way, it does feel like Booker will no doubt go inside the top 15, top 20 of the NFL draft. And from Miami's perspective, they need offensive guard quite a bit. Booker at 13 could be interesting. I think there's a chance you could trade down and still get Tyler Booker from like 13 to 16, 13 to 18 or something like that. But it ultimately depends free agency for me. Free agency is a month and a half before the NFL draft. What Chris Grier does then will tell you a lot about what he plans to do in April. Because if he signs 2 veteran interior offensive linemen on multi-year contracts, the Dolphins will not be drafting an offensive lineman in the first round. But if that is still a position of need going into the draft, well then yes, Tyler Booker probably becomes someone I would project Miami to take at the 13th overall pick. All right, make sure you follow us on Instagram. This is our handle, Dolphins Today IG. We currently have 702 followers. Appreciate all of you guys. We put out content on a weekly basis between our videos. So if you want posts, Instagram Reels, we have you covered on everything. We'll update you on news, rumors outside of our YouTube channel. Go give us a follow. The goal is to get to 1,000 followers during the off season. Help us do that. Join our channel over on Instagram. Let's move over to a question from Double S. Should Miami shop Raheem Mostert? Feel like Achane is our future. You can't shop him if you're going to cut him. Do I know for 1,000% certainty that the Dolphins are going to cut Raheem Mostert? No, but that's pretty safe to project in my opinion. Because you're right. We have our running back future duo already on the team. Mostert's 33, 34 years old. He's getting way up there, unfortunately for him. Achane just had a great season. You drafted Jalen Wright in the 4th round of last year's draft and traded a future 3rd rounder to get him in that 2024 NFL draft. So Achane and Jalen Wright are going to be your top 2 backs in 2025. And with Raheem Mostert, being someone that you can save $3.9 million with if you cut him. It doesn't even have to be post June 1st. You can cut him right now, and you could save $3.9 million in cap space. Maybe you trade him if a team wants him. If team's like, yeah, I'd rather take his current contract, not have to renegotiate with him and compete with other teams in free agency. I'll throw you a 6th or 7th round pick. Yeah, Miami will do that. I'm in. It would probably be a 7th round pick, or maybe just like one of those classic pick swaps where Miami moves up 30 picks in the 7th round and just gives up Raheem Mostert. That's very possible. But I think Raheem Mostert will not be on the Dolphins roster come August 2025 because it would save Miami $3.99 million in cap space. I expect him to be cut or traded, but cut's probably more likely. Ryan with a question. Wouldn't mind Mekhi Becton be a good addition for the Dolphins. He would help the interior of offensive line immediately. Mekhi Becton, very intriguing player because he was a first-round pick out of Louisville, offensive tackle, New York Jets. Big guy, 6'7", 350 plus. He is an absolute tank. Just had so many injuries as a member of the New York Jets. Couldn't stay healthy and actually really struggled at the offensive tackle position. Philadelphia Eagles took a flyer on Becton, signed him to a 1-year deal in NFL free agency this past offseason, and he started at right guard for them in the Super Bowl and played pretty damn well. I don't know what Becton would get on the open market. I'm guessing probably maybe $7 to $9 million in an annual average salary because guards don't get paid that much money. Becton has injury concerns still, and I get concerned about Becton's fit because he played with Lane Johnson and Cam Jurgens to his left and to his right, two of the best at those respective positions. Would Becton be a good fit in our system of the zone schemes? You see the Eagles run a lot of sweeps and tosses to Saquon, so I think it would be a decent fit. I'm intrigued by Becton. It makes me nervous because it feels like a classic Dolphins sign him, and he just ultimately can't stay on the football field and declines, and it was really only good for the for him in Philly with 2 Hall of Famers or a Hall of Famer to his right. Like, that is just screaming in my head, but I wouldn't be that upset if Miami signed him in free agency because I don't think the cost would be that high. All right, let me know, folks. Will the Dolphins make the playoffs in 2025? They missed it in 24, first time under Mike McDaniel after making it the first 2 seasons. Will they bounce back and be in the postseason this upcoming year? Let me know. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Satori GL with a question. How confident will you be if the Dolphins do good on the draft or free agency? Well, pretty high, right? I don't want to disband your question here, Satori, but in this hypothetical, you were asking me if the Dolphins do good in free agency and do the draft. What are your confidence level? Do I think they can win the Super Bowl? Probably not. Not in year 1. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on what they do in free agency and draft. Maybe they have a Philadelphia Eagles type resurgent offseason where they just hit home runs on these free agent signings. Like you saw the Eagles do it with Mekhi Becton. You saw them do it with Zach Bond at linebacker. Like, they hit some home run signings, man, and home run draft picks with Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. It's not out of the question if you hit on these picks, like Saquon Barkley. So if they have an excellent year, maybe they can really take that next step forward. I'll feel confident they make the postseason, but win the Super Bowl, I don't know. I think we're a little bit away from that. You got to win a playoff game first before you can start talking Super Bowl. All right, we are sponsored by Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. I play Prize Picks on a daily basis because it's so fun and so easy. All you do is pick more or less on 2 or more player stat projections, and you can win up to 1,000 times your cash right now. And I know football season is over, but All-Star Weekend is here, and Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching your favorite players during the game. Saturday night events, 3-point contest, All-Star game, you can do it all. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. You can play basketball, baseball, hockey, doesn't matter. Season-long projections as well, which is what I did for this baseball entry. More than Paul Skeens strikeouts, more than Tarek Skubal strikeouts, and more than Jaron Duran home runs. Just an example of different ways you can play daily and season long. So join me and millions of others on Prize Picks right now, and you can get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the app and use code CLNS. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. John Russell with a question here. Gut feeling, Tua is going to have a good season, an injury hit season, or a bad season? Okay, so you're asking me. I thought you said gut feeling you think he was going to have a good season. So if you're giving me the three options of either a good season, injury-riddled season, or a bad season, so I would consider the last two seasons as a good season and an injury season. Last year was an injury season. 2023 was a good season. I can't really give you a prediction until I know who's on the offensive line. I know, I'm sorry, it's a cop-out answer. It is. There's no disputing that. But I feel like it would be misinformed to kind of die on a hill here with Tua's upcoming season without knowing if the Dolphins seriously made an effort to improve the offensive line. Because if the offensive line is just put together and you still have Armstead/Paul at left tackle, Brewer at center, and Austin Jackson at right tackle with one-year contract veterans at left guard and right guard, then I'm going to think it's probably going to be another injury or bad season. But if they make an investment at free agency and the draft at left guard, right guard, well, then I think it's probably going to be a better season. And I hope Tyreek Hill stays healthy, Jalen Waddle stays healthy. I would probably lean good season in compared to what we've seen last year. But that offensive line is the biggest domino to fall for me. All right, make sure you do subscribe to the channel because if you are subscribed, you will not miss a video that we put out. We put out ones daily, sometimes two a days, as well as our mailbags that we do on our live shows on Tuesday, which is when this was filmed. So if you missed our mailbag because you weren't subscribed, change that. Join the channel today on the road to 68K. Maya's World, what about signing Aaron Rodgers in free agency? Yeah, that's not going to happen. And boy, would I hate that more than anything. First of all, Aaron Rodgers might retire. It does sound like him and the New York Jets are gonzo. They're going to split. They're done. And he's going to be a free agent. Now, that would be a disaster. One, because Aaron Rodgers, if he does sign with a team, he's going to want to be the starter. No questions, no ifs, no buts about that. He's going to want to be the starter. He's obviously not going to be the starter for Miami. Now, I will say there's a one pathway for Aaron Rodgers to be a Dolphin. Tua, season-ending injury in the first month of the year. Pray to God it doesn't happen. But if Tua gets hurt, season done in the first month of the year, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't signed in free agency and is still sitting out there and retired, I could see him come out of retirement to join the Dolphins organization and be the quarterback if Tua's out for the year. That's the only way, though. And I don't even want that. Like, I don't want Aaron Rodgers. Keep him away with my football team. Callum with a question. Would you rather take Kelvin Banks and move him to guard or get an already made guard in Tyler Booker? Now, this is a great question. I lean Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. He was a left tackle for 3 years for the Longhorns. And yes, there are projections about him moving inside the guard. And I know it would be a change for him. But I would, because I am someone who loves versatility. And yes, we talked about it earlier on the week. Booker might be able to play left tackle if he needed to. But if you draft Banks at left guard, or right now, and move him to left guard, and he plays really well, perfect. You have your left guard. But what if you draft Banks, play him at left guard, and then Austin Jackson continues to decline? Patrick Paul actually is terrible at left tackle, the second-round pick from Houston in 2024. Well, then, if Banks is good, you can say, okay, well, no reason to panic here, and you can move Kelvin Banks out to left tackle because he did it in college, and he could probably do it. Like, that's what happened for a couple of these guys. That, versatility, like Tristan Wirfs was a right tackle and then switched to left tackle. Like, these guys are able to move around. So to me, I would prefer the versatility of having a guy like Banks who has experience at left tackle but can play left guard as well over a guy in Tyler Booker who has been a specific left guard his entire career. So if both of them are on the board at 13 for Miami, I'd probably prioritize Kelvin Banks right now. All right, we're going to round out this mailbag here in just a second, but I do want to get your thoughts on this question. How hot is Mike McDaniel's seat entering 2025? Scale it 1 to 10 for me. 10 is it's scolding hot. He gets off to a 1-3, 1-4 start. He's fired. 1 is that he's safe. And even if he has a bad season, he's returning for 2026. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. All right, Bryce with a question. How do you feel about Starks? You're talking about the safety from Georgia. If you have not seen some of the videos in the past, which I'm guessing you haven't based on this question, I love him. I do. I am unsure of why he is slipping down big boards when you look at some other of these prospect guys, like Daniel Jeremiah has him as the second safety behind Nick Rohloff from South Carolina. Field Gates had him 27th overall on his big board, still number one safety. Mel Kiper had him outside the top, I think, 12 or 13 in his most recent big board. And I get it. It might be because safeties aren't as valued as other positions like offensive line, defensive line, wide receivers, corners, quarterbacks, blah, blah. I understand that. But when you talk about who is at their position good at what they do in comparison to everyone else, I think Mekhi Starks is top 5 in the class. I've said this. I have no issue standing and dying on this hill. The NFL made a mistake a couple years ago, letting Brian Branch from Alabama, the safety, fall to the second round. Detroit Lions picked him early second round. Brian Branch has been one of the best defensive backs in the NFL over the last 2 years, whether it's playing in the nickel as a cover safety, box safety in the run game, or deep in coverage, deep zone. I think Mekhi Starks is very similar to Brian Branch. If the Dolphins picked him at 13, I'd be thrilled. I think he'd be great. He could cover in the nickel. He has fluid hips, covers tight ends, covers nickel or slot wide receivers, is really good in the run game, explosive. I can't speak highly enough of Mekhi Starks. I would love to draft him in the first round. I would be fawning over that pick. I understand you could get good value in free agency and later on in the draft with Nick Rohloff from South Carolina, Xavier Watts, Kevin Winston, Sebastian Castro. I understand that. But I love Mekhi Starks. I think he's a top 5 player in the class, regardless of position. So I would take him at 13. I would. No problem with it. All right, that will do it for today's mailbag. If you want to get more Dolphins content, follow us on Instagram at Dolphins Today IG. If you did not get your question on today's mailbag, you could always shoot us a DM over there on IG. Just have to give us a follow. So see you over there.